Our last session is about visual storytelling. We all know that the importance of storytelling, but what about visual storytelling? It can make complex stories much easier to understand. I have always wondered that being in nursery class, I was given books which had colorful pictures all around. But gradually, when I grew up, I was handed over boring textbooks which were filled of text. The reason being that visuals are important, and small kids, they really enjoy those visuals. It lead to more imaginative, modern yet relevant way for them. So let us begin with the session about how to tell a visual story with moderator Kavita Joshi ma'am. She is a teacher by profession and learner at heart. She loves traveling and sharing her travel stories through her blog. Additionally, she is also a passionate public speaker. So I would like to hand over the virtual stage to one and only Kavita Joshi ma'am. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhavya. So I have this one small thing to share with you all, and this goes like this. I have a niece who loves to eat palak paneer, but I don't know why. She always leaves the main main part of that sabji, and that's paneer for the end, because that's the best thing, she believes, and which is true also. I guess this is one big reason that why we have kept this session towards the end, because yes, this is nothing but the best one we are going to have today. Because we have one of the most um, proved a panelist, best proved panelist for this session with us, Sarbajeet Das and Davnish Singh with us today. Sarbajeet Das, I will just take few minutes to give his long introduction, which I have with myself right now. Sarbajeet Das has 15 years of stage experience involving 5 years of international theatre. Wow. He has worked with production houses in Bangalore, Pune, Pondicherry, Odisha, and USA. He is also a trained actor. He has also worked in Broadway plays and musicals as an actor. He has directed 25 professional plays and more than 300 and plus shows so far. He is a scholarship holder and has drama professors, worked with more than 10 directors, drama professors in DC, Maryland, Virginia for films and theater. We are so happy and fortunate to have you here, Sarbajeet Das. We are so looking forward for this session to hear from you. We also have Davnish Singh with us. He is a creative director, editor, and has worked with several films to make trailers in post-production of movies of a small budget to high budget movies. He lives in Vancouver, Canada. He is very passionate about filmmaking and creating a different story altogether. Davnish Singh has been a VFX supervisor at Marvel Studio and film editor at Warner Brothers Pictures. So happy to have you, Davnish Singh. We are so looking forward to hear from you and get your insights at visual storytelling. Storytelling, if I talk about myself, the first thing that comes in my mind, being a storyteller myself, though quite new to this thing, but yes, it's like the word grandma, the person who comes in my mind. I remember when I was quite young, not more than 6 or 7 years old. At that time, every single night she used to tell the same story. And if you ask me right now, Kavita, what was so interesting, how you were able to listen to that story with equal excitement every single day. I don't think I won't be able to answer you that, but yes, that is the first thing which comes in my mind. And as I myself being a new storyteller, I think that innovation and change is the only constant and which can keep us going. So yes, here we are with the visual storytelling. Visuals are very much needed and they are changing the whole picture of storytelling, if you ask me. Just a static picture can say so many things if you look properly, if you are explained properly about it. Now, I really would like to hear from Sarbajeet Das what he has to say about this. Yes, today we are going to talk about the visual storytelling or storytelling through visuals. Over to you, Sarbajeet.
Thank you so much, Kavita, for the wonderful introduction. Hi to everybody once again. I'm so happy. I'm so honored that I'm sitting with Davnish, you, and all of you good people who are spreading good knowledge. So the last statement that you just made is visual storytelling and storytelling with visuals. I find a difference in these two statements, and there's a fundamental difference that I have experienced. And um, when it comes to art, things are very relative. How you proceed with your work and how you create your art. So there's nothing right or wrong, but how I perceive things, I will share with you. So when you talk about storytelling with visuals, I my mind thinks that it's a story with visual elements around it. A story is being told with visual elements around it. But when it's a visual storytelling, is so your visuals are not anymore as decorative pieces in your story. They basically move your story. They take your story from one point to another point, and events are created. So that's a very fundamental thought difference when I approach these two statements. What is most important for me in any visual storytelling is I start thinking about what I want to say. More, that's the first question that comes to my mind, is what I want to say and what is the best medium of telling that story. How do I say it in the best possible way, rather than what I want to make. So when my mind thinks in this direction, I can actually approach and break my work accordingly. So for example, if I want to say about uh, if I want to speak about feminism, okay, so I got to go down to a level where I have to create a tool to talk about how somebody comes out of oppression and gets the equality. Now my approach should not be to just highlight women, because for me feminism might not be only about women. Okay, but in a general in the real world, a lot of people think that feminism is only about women. So if I want to talk about feminism through transgender, or through by using a male version, um, and I want to use a format of a documentary, that would be my approach to tell my issue, socio-political issue, and bring that idea forward. So it really helps, because when I am clear about all those things, my work would be unique, and I can be convinced with my story that I'm going to tell, rather than coming out with a mindset that I want to make this. So that changes my approach of visual storytelling. And the other thing that really matters is what metaphors are you using when you're using your visuals in your story. Like you were just talking about a static picture that we used to read when we were kids, why they were so captivating. So something that really I learned when I was working with theaters, and I've assisted a lot of good directors, is about studying paintings. Now, paintings are two-dimensional frames, telling a lot of things in a static mode. But if you study them for hours and hours, you will understand the colors are actually moving. The images are actually speaking a lot of things. And everything is confined in a small frame, right? So your story should be as articulate as these images that can cultivate a lot of ideas within themselves, and it should have the spread like a novel too. So when you can bring all these things through your visuals in your story, then your visual storytelling actually goes to another level. So I believe everybody tries to tell a story in a very unique fashion, and everybody wants to be different. वो जो बॉलीवुड में सब बोलते हैं ना, ये कहानी थोड़ी अलग है. So सुनने में, I mean, we all enjoy that line, but how do we do that? Because we can't bring something out of the world, right? Everything is available to us. So the only thing that can make it different or interesting for your audience is how you want to say something that you want to say. If you're clear around it, everything will fall in place. So this is my 2 cents on visual storytelling.
It's very right. Two things I clearly loved is that feminism through men or transgender, that was marvelous. This is the first time I'm hearing something like this, which is very relevant, to be very honest, because there is a misconception about feminism just being associated with women's. One thing is there, and the other thing which I really liked was the paintings. There is this one question I would like to ask you as we move forward. I will bring that to you regarding the paintings, because I myself do some paintings. So yeah, we will get back to you, but let's move to Davnish Singh, our second panelist, and let's hear his views on our topic. Over to you,
Okay.
Davnish.
Hi, thanks Kavita for that amazing introduction, and thanks to Sarbajeet as well for outlining some amazing things on visual storytelling. Like yeah, he had like already outlined a lot, like a lot of amazing things on like how like as a filmmakers or as a storytellers, we tell a story using visuals and using visual elements. I've been working in this industry for like over 10 to 12 years now. Like my way of telling the story using visuals is like a little bit different than like from the most of the filmmakers right now working in the industry. It's for me, it's all about people. It's always about people, um, because like I would like to mention like what like the one line that Sarbajeet mentioned, that this like that's like it's a different story, like ये story थोड़ी सी different है. It's like the story itself becomes different with the people, like how like with the way a filmmaker is telling a story, the way the context is different. Context matters a lot. And there are a lot of visual elements that we place around in the story that sometimes doesn't even make a difference, or sometimes makes a lot of difference, that you don't even like audience don't even recognize, okay, like what is like so different about the story. But what makes the story difference is what I believe or what I have understood is, or what I always did, is playing with the assumptions of the people. People always assume like certain things about okay, like this is gonna be like, this is how the story is gonna be, or if they have heard about a story before. But when you play with the assumptions of the people and break those like barriers, and have a way, like I have a different way of storytelling, right? And it's then it just like then it makes a little, then it makes a difference. But that doesn't really stop you from like how you basically want to tell a story. So just to like make it simple, because for me have told like like hundreds of stories in the last years, and people heard like different versions of each story. It really comes down to how each story different, and how you tell a story, like how those visuals are different from each aspect, the people around it, the surroundings, and like and and the reason to and you always need a very strong reason to tell a story, and you to to tell that okay, this is different, this is not different, and why it makes, like why that story is visually different. It's not just about just telling about a story, it's about showing people rather than just telling them okay, this is like this and this is like that. it's, you can just talk to the people and you can just tell them, okay, yeah, like this is what happened. For example, if I, like if I break out a scene from any of my films, recently, I worked on the Sher Shah, and as a creative producer and director, uh, and I wrote some concepts and everything. So if I, because the person in the story itself is a, very high profile, it's very renowned, around the world and around in India, and everyone knows about it. Okay, and everyone, they have notion about, okay, how that person, he was, and how he basically, fought for the country and everything. But it's all about the people around him, how the, people around him shaped the entire story, how his, how the context of the story is different, because sometimes.
It, can we say that everything is based, the base idea of visual storytelling is based on people? But Sarabjit, what would you add to this? Is it that how it works, that it's always around the people? And there is this one very intriguing thing which just strikes me, is that we all know that we all are different. All have different thought process. We all have different belief system. Then how come that one storytelling or one visual is going to work with thousands and millions of people all together at just one point of time? How does
Oh,
that works?
oh, I believe it's very much possible. So there are two questions that you just asked. I'll answer the latest question and then I'll go back to the previous one. How it works is, I believe if something works for me, and I'm the stupidest person present in this world, then there are at least 50 stupid people just like me. So this world is filled with people at least a little better than me or just like me. So if it works for me in my mind, look, we all grow up with a lot of curiosity in our head. So if our brain is curious about something, there is something that is working for us. So the only thing we fail is in executing it. But the concept, the raw concept that makes you curious always works. So if you can execute it in the right way, the way it is making you curious, it will make others curious too. So I firmly believe that if it is working for you, things will captivate more than 50 people for sure. Now coming back to Davnish's explanation, I did hear he talked about people, the assumptions, the conversation. I also believe in that factor that when you grow and when you get experience, you will start learning about not feeding to your audience directly the facts that you believe in, because that again becomes very pale and very banal way of presenting your stories. So what I get excited towards is conversations like we three are talking right now. So if somebody is genuinely intrigued by the conversation, he or she will actually find their own truth through the conversation, and that is what playing with assumption is. So I totally agree with the Niche explanation that assumptions are basically what we play with, but how do we play with is again too. So if I'm talking to you about something and you're not agreeing to that, two people are going to watch it and they'll start analyzing that conversation, and from that, if they're getting a concept out, that will be very satisfying.
Davnish, would you like to add something to it?
Yeah, that's I totally agree with Sarbajeet actually. It's yeah, like he told that it all comes down to a person, and there are a lot of people, there are a lot of different types of people. It involves a psychological difference as well, because you're playing with the minds of the people when you're showing something to them. It's not something you're telling them in your own voice, but you're using a different medium, different elements like visually, to just tell them, okay, this is what I believe, this is what I think, it makes sense, even though like it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And that happens a lot when telling a story visually, like even in the films, some people, they like the story, some they don't, because sometimes they don't relate to it. So it all what I think it's very important to be personal, be true about the story. And when you are, when you know that, okay, this story is going to relate to certain, group of people, and it's not going to relate to certain group of people, then it does, it doesn't really, it, it's not really, your responsibility to, satisfy each and every person, because every person is different. It's all about, just like, giving out your context of, what the story is about, and giving your own opinion, your own view, and rest, everything follows when people, they watch it and they try to understand it. And when it's very personal and it's true, then people, start getting related to it. And that's when, the conflicts happens as well. Because what I think, and what I think I've seen in like most of the films, like, even like I worked in Hollywood as well, like everywhere, like they follow, the certain, like the same process, the conflicts. Like if there's a conflict in the story, the conflict will drive a story ahead. If there's no conflict, if for example, if for example, if in a story, if a person is not fighting for anything, it's just something, a person is, okay, we are saying, okay, walking on the road. Why is he walking on the road? To which direction he's walking on the road? Is there any sense for it? Is there, like, does it make any sense? Does it have any meaning to it? Like, is he following something? Like, what is the actual, like what is he looking for? So that's like when you have that approach of having a conflict in the story, and that also involves the people, that people are fighting for it, and people are fighting, like people are fighting for something, then usually that drives, people's minds, that okay, something's going to happen, and that we are telling using different, visual elements. Like I think the most important visual element for me, I always gonna think is people. Always gonna think is people. Like the people, and like, and the, like Sarbajeet, I think he mentioned something about in the very starting of this conversation, is the conversations, uh, which are dialogues. That's, I think, the conversations that I think what we call as a dialogues, they basically, when you involve conversations along with the conflicts and along with your, the views, and if the story is true, then it gonna make a lot of difference. That's why people, sometimes they relate to it, and that's why they say, okay, this story is different, this story is not different. It's all about, matter, it's all about, making sense to the people. And because every person is different, it's not going to possible, for every person, for you to satisfy each and every person, to relate to that story. But it's all about how you tell it, and how you basically, try to relate that story, even if it's real or if it's not, if it's fictional. It's all about, just relating to it, and just, just relating that particular story to the people.
So we can say that this saying falls very true even at visual storytelling. Then we say that it's not what you say, it's always how you say it. So that's what all makes a difference. Moving to this, I would like to know that if we just go, let's say 10 or 20 years back, the visual story tools and those aids and techniques, how they have changed today, and what are the what all can we expect from the future? What would be the next thing which we might expect going to happen in the visual storytelling techniques and tools? What all are being used, and what all has been changed if we go back to 10 or 20 years back?
I
Basically,
think
talking about the revolution in storytelling techniques and tools.
yeah, I
As
think
the Davnish, you just, I guess, mentioned that you has been working like for 12 to 12 years in this
yeah.
industry. So you would be the best person to, I guess, answer this, that how you see the transition, how
Yeah.
much transition is there.
Yeah, I think a lot of things have been changed. Actually, I was quite young when I joined this industry, and I didn't have a lot of knowledge about how things work. But all I knew, like how to tell a story, how to write a story, and how story, it's how a story basically drives everything, irrespective of like what other elements that you are basically aspiring for, or you're trying to add on. So for me, I always think is in the last 10 years, what I've seen is what I have seen that have changed is stories are getting evolved. Like all the I think it's all the stories are same. They have people, they have protagonists, they have antagonists, they have the villains and everything is same, like but only thing that makes difference is how basically how you're trying to communicate with that story to the people. In the previous years, it used to be a lot about just a story. Now there are a lot of more elements adding on it, like for example the visual effects. There are a lot of dubbing happens these days. When you try to add certain things to a story which is going in a very normal pace, it affects on a very certain level. I think on a very large level, I think so, which is I think happening right now. Right now, what I believe is, I think it's not just about story today. I think so, and that's why people believe that they have the notion, okay, that that even if the story is not good, sometimes filmmakers, what they try to do is add certain elements to it, add external factors to to drive that story and to make it successful. But that really that doesn't really go with the people who are going to the cinema theaters and watching that film, watching those visuals. And when you miss those visuals, the visual elements that used to be there in the last 10 to 12 years of filmmaking, which I think like are the most like the important elements to tell any story, that really makes a difference these days when you tell a story, because it miss a lot of things, because we yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we are just running out of time. I'll just quickly ask Sarabjit the same question, because I think that he is somebody who is working on the ground. He is himself an actor, and through the eyes of an actor, we would like to know that what all changes, what all transition uh, uh, has taken in this time period.
Yeah, my answer would be very simple. I think uh, with the evolution of accessibility, um, um, and acceptance of the audience, um, risk-taking capabilities of the people who are telling stories have evolved. Like to go एक सिनेमा थिएटर में जाके फिल्म दिखाने के लिए लोगों को बहुत कॉशियस होना पड़ता है कि ऐसी स्टोरी बताएंगे तो 50 लोग, घर वाले, बच्चे, उनके बच्चों के बच्चे, ये सब आके फिल्म देख सकते हैं. But now, because everybody can access a story from anywhere, people are not concerned about how my story should please everyone. People are more concerned I should tell a story that I feel like telling. This
Very
has
well
evolved.
said. Very well said. Completely agree. A very valid point. I must say that with this accessibility, we all would agree. I think that yes, the risk factor at the producers and the directors' end has reduced to quite an extent, which is, I guess, serving as an aid, because we're lot free as we go to the internet and the web series we are watching currently. I see there is a lot of potential, if I say that, in Bollywood also, quite a lot of potential when it comes to portraying the realistic stories, which is beyond the item numbers and beyond your that typical family drama. Yes, you're very well said. And with this, I would like to tell both of you that I really had a lot of insightful, I would say, a session today, from understanding the difference between visual storytelling and storytelling with visuals. Thanks to both the panelists. I had a great session. thoroughly enjoyed and so looking forward to have more sessions, such sessions with both of you. And I am going to see Sarbajeet, where all you have performed as an actor. I'm going to check that. And Davnish, I would like to tell you that I am a big fan of Marvels and DC, and strictly follow it. Whenever there is a movie, I completely hitch to the theater. And thank you so much. It's good to see such jury honored, and good to see it. It feels so good that you guys, going out in such a field, even if you talk about in India, though I'm not aware, but as much as information I'm having currently, I don't think that this kind of industry and this kind of work today is that much recognized, but you guys has taken it to next level and doing so good. It's it gives such a peace to our heart and happiness to see our people growing in these industries and taking it forward. So happy for both of you. Thank you so much for being with us today, and we would really love to hear more from you as we are short of time. But yeah, we would really love to hear something more from you. And with this, I would like to hand over back to the MC of today, Bhavya Bansal. Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Thank you so much, moderator Kavita Joshi ji, and both the panelists. It was an absolute interesting conversation, and I hope that our audience also enjoyed it thoroughly. I would like to thank everyone who is present here, panelists, moderators, dignitaries, and all the esteemed guests who have joined us. And not to forget, I would also like to thank all the people who are watching us live. Your support and time is very valuable to us. Stay tuned for the last date and closing ceremony of the Literature Festival. For now, I am signing off, and I would like to hand over the stage to Mr. Rahul Sharma. Till then, keep reading and stay amazing. Thank you.